Who do you think is the best executed sympathetic villain? Some of my favorites are Ramses II, then he and Simon Laurent. That is a very good question. I think I might have to cop out here and simply say an answer that is from such a famous show that it basically is almost like a non-answer. I'm gonna have to say Gus Fring. I think Gus Fring from Breaking Bad is the most sympathetic villain that I think I have seen in a very long time. He is so sympathetic, I almost don't want to call him a villain. Because like, we learn so much about Gus across his story, and we understand why he's doing the things he's done, and we understand why he has the enemies he has, and why he acts the way he does. And of course, he's a drug kingpin, basically, and he murders dozens of people across the story, brutally too. The excellence of Gus is his dichotomy with Walter. I think that the fact that Walter is so insecure because of his status of being a novice around Gus, that it almost elevates Gus even more, because Walter is such a great character, but Gus makes Walter feel like he's not enough, and he always wants to be like Gus. And we can see, actually, even later in the series, that Walter starts to act a bit like Gus, even dress and talk a little bit like Gus. And there's this great scene where Walter is talking to Mike, and he's wondering why it's so hard to run a complete, drug business. And Mike turns to him and says, just because you shot Jesse James don't make you Jesse James. And I think that's the thing that kind of like, not haunts Walter, but exemplifies Walter's relationship with Gus, is that he just was less. He was just less than Gus. And the mark of a villain really is how well they push the main character forward, how much they challenge them, because that's all an antagonist is meant to do. An antagonist is meant to embody conflict, and all conflict is meant to do is challenge the main character and stand in the way of them trying to get their goal, right? And push them to places and heights that they had not been before. And I think simply because of the standards that we saw Gus adhere to, the backstory that we saw exemplified in the flashbacks, how he treated his, well, aside from killing Victor, how he treated his employees, and then of course a little bit of cheating because he's in Better Call Saul 2, and there he's just not a villain. But I think Gus Fring would take the cake for me as the most sympathetic villain, which I think is a little bit of a non-controversial answer. I think a ton of people would probably agree.